Hello and welcome to Business Reporter's Best of British campaign. I'm Alistair Greener. Virtual assistants, smartphones, smart homes, they're all supposedly designed to make our lives easier. But they're just not smart enough yet. They respond to our needs, but not our safety. If a vulnerable or elderly person who is isolated from their family trips and falls, unless they have a panic button, it's unlikely anyone will come to their rescue. But there is an answer, and Mark Lippett, the CEO of XMOS, which develops chipset technologies, believes that the answer is edge computing. What is edge computing? Keep watching to find out more. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, we're never far away these days, are we, from a virtual assistant, whether it's an Amazon Echo or from Google. And then there's the apps, of course, like Siri, Google Assistant, and so on. And we're bombarded with adverts saying how we can make our homes and offices smarter. Is there anything that we're missing?
Yes, I think we can gain the benefits of all of that technology without the compromise. At the moment, all of those services that we value, services that give us security, that give us convenience, they're all delivered at the expense of our privacy. The data that is being gathered in our homes is being streamed back into a cloud service that is effectively under the control of the tech giants. So one thing that I think we need to do is to gain back control of that privacy by moving more of the technology into our homes and doing some of the processing that's necessary to deliver the value in situ, where we can filter the amount of our world, of our lives, that is observable from the outside.
You mentioned the tech giants. Why aren't they doing this already? Is it down to technology or something else?
Well, the tech giants actually make money from the data that you provide them with. It's something that they can interpret, learn from, and seek to influence your behavior in a manner that furthers their business model. So they are not motivated to solve this problem. But there are also some technical aspects as well. It's a very different challenge to add more processing into a cloud service where power and cost are perhaps less important than it is to add it into for example, a smart speaker or a utility in your home where you care very much about power consumption and about that utility costs you.
Tell us a little bit more about the XMOS solution. What's different about it? How does it work?
So the XMOS solution takes some of that processing from the cloud and moves it into your home. And it does so in a manner that you can afford, in terms you can afford to power it and you can afford to buy the unit with that intelligence. But the key thing is it takes the data that would otherwise be streaming into the cloud and be under the ownership of the tech giants, and it filters it for the events that you really care about. So if you're, for example, worried about an elderly relative who's aging in place and you want to be alerted to the fact that they might have fallen over, for example, that event can be processed locally in that person's home without compromising all of the data that was required to identify that event. And the same is true of utilities, of convenience. Voice interfaces, for example, can be implemented locally, delivering that level of convenience without cloud services listening to everything that's going on in your home, and so on. So moving the intelligence to the very edge of the network delivers on all the benefits, but without the compromise of your data.
Perhaps we could see it in practice, an example of it.
Sure. So this is Dorothy's flat, her kitchen. She's 78 years old, she's on her own, but she's very keen to age in place. She wants to stay living at home and she wants to keep her independence. People that are older, they are more susceptible to falling over. So in an environment like this, we can add quite a bit of technology to help identify and take the appropriate action in those kinds of events.
So give me an idea of the technology that's going to be used here.
So we've got numerous opportunities here for smart technology. The cooker hood, for example, might well contain microphones. We've got a potential for a smart speaker that contains, once again, microphones, but also potentially radar technology and also a camera. Any one of those things and a combination of those things can be used to detect events like, for example, a fall.
Tell me about radar technology. How does that work?
So radar technology has the ability to map an environment, including the people in it. Unlike a camera, it doesn't give away very high definition images. It's sort of blobs, if you like, but you can certainly tell whether somebody's standing up or lying down. And it can then use that information as features to determine whether an event has occurred that requires action. So, for example, it might initially ask Dorothy if she's okay. If there's no response, then at that point we might choose that we want to divulge a little bit of privacy and go to the cloud and say, actually, there is a likelihood here that an event has taken place that requires attention. So we might reach out to the relatives, or we might reach out to emergency services.
Well, that's the first scenario, which is, of course, looking at the health context. Let's move on to the next one, where we're going to look at convenience.
Yeah. So this is a hotel room. This will be a familiar scenario to many of us. This experience would have started at the front desk, where Gia would have been photographed, his face would have been mapped, and he gets the opportunity to walk up to his door and have it opened without scrabbling around in his pockets for his key card. But it really just starts there. Hotel rooms are, obviously, they're designed to be a home from home, but actually they're very unfamiliar. So in this case, we've got a smart light, which embodies a voice interface, which means that we can actually just speak to the room and ask for the right temperature or the right lighting or the TV to come on and so on. And the one thing that really resonates with many people is if you want a shower, you don't have to grapple with the shower controls, which have become a classic example of form over function. You can just say, I would like a shower at 39 degrees centigrade. So lots of opportunity for convenience and just making people feel more at home in a hotel environment, which of course is great news for the hotelier themselves.
So a great improvement in the guest experience. And let's move on now to the third scenario, which is looking more at safety and security.
Sure. So in this scenario, we have a student, Mia, who's going to university for the first time. So it might be the first time she's lived away from home. Her parents have just dropped her off. Their concern is her safety and her well-being. Her concern is her privacy and being able to use this bewildering amount of equipment around her, making sure that she can use the microwave oven to prepare her meals, the kettle, the toaster, all of these things that will be unfamiliar. So for Mia, this means that she can seamlessly integrate into that environment. She knows how to use everything. It will be voice controlled. Her privacy will be protected. She'll have, for example, smart speakers, maybe even smart light switches. And for parents, they're content that she's secure because the same technology can also recognize events that relate to safety. The owner of the building obviously benefits from all of those artifacts, which make essentially a better customer experience, if you like.
Well, it's been fantastic seeing this technology being used in very different scenarios. Mark from XMOS, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.